Hi, my name is Gareth. The learning experience I'm sharing is origami, or the art of paper folding. During lockdown, I've been playing Nintendo to occupy myself, and I bought a game with an origami theme. The Mario game was the source of inspiration, as the stylings and art are engrossing. I've always had a curiosity with Japanese culture, especially the art, which has always appealed to me. I relate this to constructivist theory and the Montessori learning philosophy, whereby I'm independently seeking a new learning experience that gravitates to my own pre-existing interests, albeit indirectly. Origami essentially translates as paper folding and was first created roughly 1400 years ago, then chronicled during the Edo period 400 years ago. Whilst I dabbled into origami and paper folding as a 10-year-old, it certainly was a skill I was unfamiliar with. I tend not to be the arts and crafts type of person and would describe my fine motor skills as lacking, so I presented a perfectly challenging learning opportunity to overcome. To experiment with origami, I aim to establish the most effective means of learning. Firstly, I decided to purchase the appropriate materials to give myself the best opportunity to succeed. I bought an origami pack from a local supplier with an instruction book. The book provided a step-by-step guide and a scale of difficulty which allowed me to develop my technique and knowledge. This decision reflects my inherent dependence upon cognitive learning strategies, whereby I'll initially consume new information in a procedural fashion. My first attempt was to fold a fox. Whilst I found the folding sequences quite simple, the accuracy of the folding alignments was imperfect. My initial concerns about my fine motor skills seemed accurate. I sought advice from my mum about how I could make my folds tighter and remedy the issue. She suggested using a ruler as an aid, and it was definitely a useful tool I needed as a beginner. Next up was to fold a whale, and immediately I was frustrated. Either it was the time of day, or I just didn't comprehend the book's instructions. I was stuck. I realised I needed an additional learning source and noticed within the book there was a YouTube link provided by the publisher with a step-by-step guide as to how to complete the folds. This was a relief as I was able to alleviate my doubts by carefully reviewing the video and establishing where I'd made errors previously. Both obstacles I encountered were alleviated by applying Vygotsky's design of proximal development theory, whereby my limitations were overcome through scaffolding. In my circumstance, firstly by asking an elder for advice, then by using social media platform where an expert provided the visual cues to correct my errors. After completing these, I decided to challenge myself with the more complicated technique of a crane. My goal orientation had switched towards a humanist psychological mindset. Not only was I attempting origami, but the assessment itself required utilization of unfamiliar computer software. I was fulfilling potential beyond the original scope of the project and deriving satisfaction from this fact. This experience provided clarity on my shortcomings as a learner, a realisation that I need to be more forgiving of myself when making errors and avoid getting hamstrung by early failure. As a future educator, this serves as a reminder to be both patient and encourage resilience in order to be beneficial. Origami serves as an appropriate metaphor.